Welcome, everybody, to Practical Psychology Podcast, episode 19. I'm Joseph, one of the co hosts of this podcast. Today, we are very happy to have Charlie Munro joining us. Let me introduce Charlie here. Charlie is a MACP student, Master of Arts Counseling Psychology students based in beautiful Nova Scotia, Wolfville. And Charlie also studied psychology in his undergrad in Brock University. Charlie has a lot of different hobbies, adventures before coming into counseling psychology. For example, Charlie did music production, playing the guitar. Charlie loves hiking, and Charlie has done fan life for 2 years, traveling from Nova Scotia all the way to West Coast, California. I want to welcome Charlie today.
Hey, thanks, Joseph. I'm happy to be here.
So, Charlie, tell us why counseling psychology first?
Thank you, Joseph. That's a great question. Well, for me, I didn't realize that I had so many kind of mental health issues until I got my first therapist. And I remember her name was Jennifer, and she changed my life. I was kind of hopeless, and yeah, just the stuff we talked about and the things she helped me like set boundaries and like read like self-help stuff, and it really changed my life and gave me hope. And so I just look around the world and I see, people who might be struggling like a similar way as was I do and have. And the techniques that were used on me, if I'm able to do that with other people, I think I can make like a positive impact on the planet, because there's a lot of suffering and dysfunction out there from like intergenerational stuff that we have no control over. So
Charlie, thank you so much here. I first and foremost want to validate your courage, your transparency of sharing your story. Because we know the step one here is to tell people about the taboo of psychology. Psychology is a science, not about morality, good or bad, right or wrong here. And people don't need to get stuck when there is science and help out there.
I agree. And I think I like the word taboo because I think when I first got into therapy, I thought there had to be something like seriously wrong with someone in order to get a therapist. And little did I know there was with me. I didn't realize how sick I was. But even for the average person who's just like, like in relationships or just feeling unsatisfied with like their life and unsure how to make a change, um, I always thought it'd be funny to get a T-shirt or like a series of
Yeah.
T-shirts that just says everyone should have a therapist, and wear those out just to because it shouldn't be taboo. I don't think. I think it should be. I think everyone should have a therapist.
Charlie, it is a good idea here. You do music production here. We should put some work here to design some merchandise. This teacher's idea to promote this very important publicity because people are suffering unnecessary suffering here. And you also mentioned psychology is for everybody, no matter it's an athlete wanting to increase the performance, to people who are struggling in the marriage, everybody will benefit from psychology.
Even psychologists can benefit from having a therapist. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's true. Our clinic support psychologists, medical doctors, psychiatrists, and we also advocate ourselves to actually see a counselor to have a self-reflection and self-care.
Yeah, I've learned in my program that self-care for counselors is an ethical requirement. Um, so if the counselor isn't doing what they need to do to take care of themselves, then they can be like they can have an ethical violation, and they could be like in certain situations, I think clinic or like legally responsible for not taking care of themselves when they're in the role of being there and taking on the, you know, the feelings of someone else in such a deep way. So yeah, I think I don't have a counselor right now, but I usually do
So
to help
Charlie,
me
tell us a little bit
process.
more about. We'll talk about that a little bit later because there's so much to talk about here. And uh, how about tell us a little bit about what are the common obstacles or misunderstanding when people are not seeking therapy or psychology support?
Ah, that's a great question. I think you know, there's a lot of thoughts that someone might have, you know, like maybe judgments or feelings about people in their life. It could be like someone at
Mm,
work or their family or their partner or their kids. And they feel like these thoughts are, you know, they might be a little bit negative, a little bit judgmental or something. And they feel like I shouldn't be having this thought. Like I'm,
mm,
and then so they push it down, and then that thought just kind of festers inside of them and they ignore it.
mm.
But really, the thought means something. So it's like
Oh,
a, you know, to talk about it and find out that it's normal to feel these things. So people, I think they have all this guilt and shame, and they like run away from it. They like distract
mm,
themselves. Some people will play video games or binge watch TV, or you know,
yeah.
any way of escaping these thoughts, when really these thoughts are normal, and to just talk about them would make everything, you know, just easier to manage.
Charlie, you bring up a very important point here about they should or should not when they have those feelings. And also, what do those feelings mean? That's exactly one of the counseling interventions is to take a step back and pause to understand the meaning rather than jumping into the conclusion and judgment. Yeah.
Yes. And that's a like in acceptance and commitment therapy, and in a lot of other modalities, you're right. I've been learning to, you know, people kind of fuse with these thoughts, and they think if I
Yes.
have this thought, it means this thought is me. But really, to separate from it and realize that no, I am not my thoughts. My thoughts just happen, and I can be separate from them and um,
Mm.
analyze them from a distance, as you were saying.
Charlie, you mentioned about the acceptance commitment therapy or the ACT therapy here. Let's talk a little bit more about it because a lot of people don't might not be aware of the details. Because when some people have a really troubling thought, distress, or figuring out the meaning of life and all this, they can be very in together as an identity here and a thought here. How do people recognize that?
Oh, that's a good question. And learning through these modalities, like
Mm,
ACT, like there's so many acronyms. It's hard to keep track of. So I've just been trying to focus on like techniques from each of them, and like kind of put them together, like find which ones which resonate with me the most and put them together. And if they work on me and I understand how they worked on me, I can use them on others. But one technique too that I've found helpful myself, because I've tried to use these techniques on myself, going
mm,
through just to see how they work. And this it's like somatic parts work. It's part of ACT and some other modalities. So uh, as you know, like you kind of close your eyes and you imagine in well, you find the feeling in your body. So like let's say you've got a resentment against someone. You can close your eyes and you can kind of like find out where it is. And some usually for me it's in my chest. Sometimes it's in my head or my stomach. And you know, I could put a hand on that, and I can feel it. I can find out like the shape of it, like kind of like if it's vibrating, like specifically where it is. And then I can talk to it and say, hey, like,
mm,
wh- what do you want to tell me?
mm. And
And
Charlie, there's
by
a
do
wonderful exercise here to kind of slow down the thoughts here to understand more.
yes, and by like localizing the feeling, you can kind of separate from it because it's like the feeling is here, I am here, it's just here,
Yeah. Mm.
and I can talk to it and separate from it. So I am here and I'm talking to the feeling. So it's like the feeling is not me, it's just a part of me.
So in a way, it's a psychological exercise here to try to detach the two parts of the body to become more third person perspective.
Exactly.
Wow. So Charlie, you mentioned about one of the influential counselor in your life is Jennifer. Can you tell us a little bit about how do you come to know or find out about your counselor? Because that itself can be a difficulty for a lot of people seeking help. They don't know who to reach out to and where to pick. Sometimes they go into a website, there's maybe 100 people there. How do you go through your process to give some insights to other people?
That's a great question. And I haven't thought about that in a long time. So thank you. It's I used a website called betterhelp.com.
Okay, yeah.
And at the time, I was living outside of Canada in a non-English speaking country. So,
Yeah.
and I realized then, I think because I had the space from like my own culture and I was just kind of alone and isolated because of the language that I was able to realize like I need help. So I didn't know what to do. So I just Googled and BetterHelp came up. And what I like about BetterHelp is you're matched with a counselor and then you can talk with them, and if you don't like them, you just cancel,
Okay,
and then
yeah.
you get another counselor.
Okay, I
It's kind
see.
of like Tinder for therapists. You're just like swipe, swipe,
Okay.
swipe, swipe,
Yeah,
swipe.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
this is a good
yes,
one. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So I encourage anyone to, I knew instantly the moment I talked to her that
Wow.
she could help me. The first two that I tried, I didn't have the feeling. I gave them a couple weeks, but so always there's someone out there. It's just a matter of finding a good fit.
So Charlie, tell us a little bit. Okay, so you sign up for this website called Better Health, and then you have a paid consultation with somebody first, and then you also have the option to switch after.
Well, the way it works is you set up your profile and you
Okay,
write
yeah.
like kind of what your main presenting issues are, what you're
Yeah.
struggling with. And then based on that, counselors in that specialty will review your profile and then choose you.
Okay, yeah.
And then so
Mhm.
if you don't like them, you say next, and then another one chooses you. So
Okay.
you pay a monthly or yearly subscription or quarterly subscription.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And when you see the first one or two counselors, and what makes it that it's not a good match?
Um, well, I'm I've always been kind of sensitive to like ego and power dynamics, and I felt like when I was just unloading onto them
Okay,
through text, because I wasn't aware that there was like a calling feature at that time,
okay,
I
yeah,
was just
okay.
telling them and I felt like they were reacting like countertransference to me.
Okay, yeah.
So I felt like if they're being triggered by me, it's probably not a good fit.
Partly, you mentioned a very good point about the transference and counter-transference here. Because being neutral and impartial is the foundation of clinical counseling.
Yes, and I think that's where self-care is really important for counselors. Because for me, my ability to be neutral and impartial is a skill that I carry on, but it's also kind of a daily thing. On a day where I'm feeling overwhelmed, underslept, hungry, and tired, I'm less impartial. I'm more reactive to things. I'm more sensitive. So, you know, to be ethically bound to take care of myself is to make sure that I can stay clear and neutral when interacting with clients and anyone really, even my parents. They benefit from
Mm.
my neutrality as well.
How do you mention a great point here? Self-care, self-care, self-care. In psychology sessions, we work on it all the time, even though from outsiders, they might not understand the power of importance of self-care.
Well, I didn't either before I got a therapist. Um, I, I knew that drinking water made me feel good. You know, going on a big walk once a week on Sundays made me feel good. I knew that, getting enough sleep was good, but it was never like a strategy, and I never really knew what being like actually peaceful and taken care of. And I'm spiritual, so spiritually fit is the term I like to use. Like I didn't know what that felt like. So, for me now, like I reach out for help through peers in the class, therapists, other people in spiritual communities where I go. I exercise more. I've learned a little bit more about healthy eating and nutrition, and my hobbies as well, like music. For me, the opportunity to create and express myself artistically is part of my self-care routine as well.
Oh yeah, Charlie, you mentioned a very good point here. Typically in a clinical counseling psychology session, we will do a self-care assessment and also make a self-care plan. Rather than just doing it randomly, we have a regimented approach to support the client to increase their well-being and that defense system for stress wherever they come from.
Yes, resiliency is important, and to have someone too, like a second pair of eyes, look over. Because I could write down my self-care regimen, and I'd be like, "This is perfect. I
Yeah.
made this. I'm the smartest person ever to exist, and here's what I came up with." Um, but when I've done that, someone usually has a perspective that has some very helpful things to add, things that I uh, thought I knew but didn't, and working with someone too creates accountability, which I think is important, because if I don't have anyone to show my results to, or to ask about it, I'm probably, after a week or two, just going to start letting things slip.
Charlie, you mentioned a key foundation of how psychology causes changes. One of them is to create the accountability. For example, a lot of individuals, they will try to bridge the gap for I want to I accomplished. To bridge this gap, jumping this gap here, accountability is a big part here because a lot of people know what to do, but to actually did it is another story. So there's a big gap there.
Yes, and I've been learning in my classes that there are strategies on how to help people set and achieve goals. And the first one is to set small, achievable goals that you can do a few, manageable, easy to take care of goals first to start to build momentum. And then it's like SMART goals, measurable, achievable, realistic, and in a time frame and specific. So by setting those with someone and having them ask about them every week, you can start to gain a lot of momentum and kind of move into the place you want to be.
And Charlie here, the SMART goal is one of the another foundational psychology tools and exercise here. Can you tell us from your experience, what are the common challenges of people making smart goals or not able to make smart goals?
Well, people, they get so busy in their life, they have this routine and it's been kind of unmanageable for a long time. And there are, we were talking earlier about, people like avoiding these like negative feelings or thoughts they have towards people or something, or, intergenerational trauma that they have, some of that they aren't aware of. And it's like the goals would help them fix that, but the trauma almost doesn't want you to do that because I think the trauma wants to stay. So, like, if a person is, if their nervous system goes into fight, flight, or freeze mode regularly, then it's hard to accomplish anything. So sometimes the smart goal is to first like analyze the traumatic responses and how a person's brain kind of reacts to the world, and then maybe dig a little bit deeper there before setting more practical like goals out in society.
And Charlie, you mentioned a very good point about that blind spot that people might not see without a professional assistance or an outsider, a third set of eyes. Because how can people set goals if they don't even know their blind spot outside of their their tunnel vision?
Yes. And blind spots are all over. You can look around, and the more I've worked on my blind spots, the more I can see blind spots in people around me, which I think for being a counselor is a helpful thing to have to be able to see.
Charlie, so right now you're in the MACP program, the Master of Arts, Counseling Psychology, which is the requirements to become a professional counselor. Can you tell us when we walk back in time when you were in your undergrad studying psychology in Brock University, did that Charlie can imagine that you are sitting and talking to me right now, enrolling in an MACP program?
Oh, well, like I said, before I got my first therapist, I was quite sick, I would say. And so I took psychology because when I went to class, we did classes like lifespan and development, and we learned like how a person develops from like even in the womb all the way up to like retirement. And they had like factors, um, that were like disadvantages and advantages, like how parents would act and things like that. And I started to notice I had a lot of disadvantages, um, with just how my parents were. I didn't realize that they had also had their childhood traumas, and how deeply it affected them. So I took psychology because it resonated with me and it kind of gave me information about myself that I could use. There was a chapter on drugs, for example, and I think I got a pretty good mark in that one. And then there was a chapter on love as well, and sleep. These very practical things, and chemicals in the brain, and how things react like subconsciously. And yeah, I found it very interesting and very practical that I could use. I always was interested in psychology, but until I got a therapist and started talking and seeing the changes in my life, like the information was helpful, but it was like the application of it which helped me to change. And to me, that was like a miracle, pretty well. So
There is a milestone here, Charlie, because you mentioned about understanding the psychology concepts about love, upbringing, developmental cycle here, coming from a science evidence-based approach, meaning These are not just written by somebody on social media or misinformed or personal opinion. It's based on science and research. So you get the first-hand, best quality information. And then you mentioned about able to apply it into your life through clinical counseling to combine the both is a massive milestone here and how psychology comes into play.
Yes, and you know, we we understand a lot of things through research and kind of what works. But I don't know if we understand why it works necessarily. Like EMDR, for example. Um, you can process. I'm not an EMDR specialist. I know the Coles Notes version, but by tracking eye movements, you can relive traumatic experiences and process them and walk away feeling better. And we don't know why that works. I don't think it just works. And the power of the therapeutic relationship as well. Being truly seen and feeling like you're being seen and understood and accepted and loved even by another person as you are. There's something healing and profound and magic in that. Which, on another note, like AI, people can learn some things with AI and even do some little therapy tricks. But they say that therapists is the one profession that will never be replaced by AI because that human to human connection, there's something magic in that.
Yeah. So Charlie, here there are many, many good points here. When you walk back to your university days in your undergrad here, what are some of the common challenges that undergraduate students might come across during their age year?
Oh, well, it depends on the person. For me, it was, trying to get like I like to go out throughout the week with my friends, and sometimes it was difficult for me to wake up in time, and my sleep
Mhm.
routine was difficult. Eating healthy was difficult. Financially, it was difficult. Um, but I didn't realize how, looking back on it now, how traumatized I was from my upbringing. And looking back on it now, I can have kind of compassion for me. But then I was
Mhm.
just trying so hard to be cool, and get decent marks and do all that. When really I just needed someone to tell me like, hey, like, are you okay? It looks like you're really struggling. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be this hard. You're making it harder for yourself, but
Mhm.
no one told me that. So for undergrads struggling with things like that, talking with someone can maybe start to unpack some baggage you might be carrying. And then there's the students who are like high achievers, who are just anxious about their marks, and like a 92 isn't good enough. They have to get a 96. And speaking with someone about that can help as well. Because there's logic that we've learned from our family or from society that we take so seriously, and it can make people perfectionistic. And talking with someone about that can help them let go of the pressure. Still try to get great marks, but like a 92 is a good mark.
Oh yeah, Charlie, this is huge here because having the opportunity to check in can be very challenging here because, for example, the peers around the university students, they might have the taboo or be afraid to check in with somebody who needs help or needs support here because they might don't want to offend or be offended and get rejected. Having just a simple check-in can be very rare and challenging.
Yes. I remember I looked for a counselor my first year, And I went and I didn't feel seen or understood.
Mm,
So I only had one appointment and then I never went back. Um,
yeah.
and I'm not sure. I think as the generations change, I'm a millennial personally.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know how Gen Z feels about therapy, but I think as time goes on, like the acceptance of therapy is
Mhm.
like a necessary part of life almost is becoming more.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if my friends were going to counselors and we were all talking about what we were learning and, you know, if, because I have issues with my friends too, like conflicts. So if they were talking to someone and I was talking to someone and we could, collaborate on how to better relate to each other, it would have been an easier experience also.
Mhm. And Charlie, now thinking back, did you still remember your first counseling session that you attended back in university year one?
Oh, well, well, I had stayed up all night. I didn't sleep at
Mhm.
all because the appointment was at like 9 o'clock in the morning or something, and my sleep schedule was all crazy.
Mhm.
I think I went down and watched the sunrise at the beach and smoked like a pack of cigarettes, and then I went to the counseling appointment. And I think at the time I was in there for substance abuse. I was saying like I'm smoking too much marijuana. It's affecting me. I need help. And the guy recommended I try his group therapy called Above the Influence.
Mhm.
Not under the influence, but above the influence.
Mhm.
And just the way he said it, it was like I felt he was like so proud of this name and he didn't care at all about me. He just heard me say marijuana and put me in this
Mhm.
box. And he didn't ask me
Okay.
like any questions about
Mhm.
myself. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I never went back, even though I probably would have benefited from going to the group therapy sessions.
Mhm. Yeah. And Charlie, you mentioned a very important point here about being able to be heard and understood is the foundation of all human relationships, including a working relationship in counseling.
Absolutely. And I think I'm so open about my past struggles and present struggles as well,
Mhm.
to let people know that I get it. Like I'm not like reading from a book and saying like,
Mhm.
like using a metaphor of like paddling a canoe, right? It's like I'm not saying, well,
Mhm.
it says to grip here and do this. Like, is it working?
Mhm.
To get through
Yeah.
choppy waters. And I'm saying like,
Mhm.
yeah, I've canoed through there before. Here's
Yeah.
what I did.
Yeah.
Here, jump in. We'll go together. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All this experience here in year one university. And you can still, right now, 2025, you can still vividly remember. And just how powerful this experience is. That how you're being touched by somebody's lives or being rejected by somebody's.
Yes, and reaching out for help was scary.
Mhm.
I had to be like really, really uncomfortable to even look up the counselor. I don't even know where I got the idea. I don't know if someone recommended it or I just realized that I needed help. And yeah, I wish it went better, but I believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen and when I'm ready.
Wow. So Charlie here, looking towards in from now to the future, what were some of the advice you give to other students who are thinking about whether I should sign up for the MACP program or not?
Well, I would say it's a good program and I feel ready to start my practicum and ready to start working with people every day. I'm ready. I've learned a lot and I'm really excited to do it. I would say my biggest thing is to um, try to create an environment where you can invest as much of yourself into it as possible, um, and to really dive deep into the modalities and try them on yourself. And if you, some of the classes you work with other classmates and you're required to do like one session per week, doing more than one is really helpful, because
Mhm.
for me, being able to be like, there's like the counselor version of myself who's neutral and calm, and then there's the client version of myself who is
Mhm.
like, not necessarily totally neutral and calm. I like very expressive and, needing help and guidance. And working with my classmates, I'm able to be both versions of myself on both ends within the same
Mhm.
hour. And it's an amazing feeling. And I'm learning so much about myself and so much about my classmates. Yeah, it's just been great. So I would say the more you put in, the more you'll get out.
Thank you for this advice here, Charlie. And we have another question here because we know choosing a practicum site is also can be a very difficult task here. How did yours? Any advice you can give to other students?
Well, I would say, um, for me, I wasn't sure where I was going to be. So I wanted one that was completely online and flexible, because I didn't know what time zone I was going to be in. And I wanted one where the clients weren't, um, like pressured, that like I wanted a big, wide group of clients with all types of presenting issues. I didn't want to be in one clinic that focused on one specific thing. I wanted experience with all types of people with all different things to practice and learn about. So that's how I found the Wong Counseling School.
Hey, yeah, thank you for sharing some of your advice here, Charlie. So let's say after this podcast here, Charlie, if some of the viewers, fellow students, fellow counselors want to contact you to ask more info, to learn more about you, how would they do that?
Right now, my email is cmunro71@gmail.com. I'm still in the process of setting up my website and my LinkedIn to reflect this new chapter of my life. So when that is up and running, I'll forward the information to you, and it'll be on the YouTube video on the
Thank you
link.
so much here. Then we'll make sure we put that in the descriptions here. And Charlie here, we want to congratulations on you starting this journey here, and we wish you all the best here, and we wish you to come back to this podcast soon to talk more. Okay.
Thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate this opportunity, and this has been great. Your questions were very helpful in getting some good information from me, I think, and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you and goodbye.